Now let's bring in our colleagues Laura Jays and Paul Murray. They're with me on the New South Wales side of the Queensland border. Paul and Laura, it's been such a massive issue, the borders. Is it going to resonate tonight?
Well, the October surprise here, Kieran, is the weather. It has been swirling storms, violent thunderstorms was the official forecast, and I can tell you it's been like that all day. So that'll be a problem for on-day voting. Why are you seeing such a big pre-poll and postal vote?
Literally, the Electoral Commission was telling people, go and vote as early as you can, because for hours there has just been one of the worst storms in a very long time. Not a lot of damage at this point in time, but I tell you what, if you were somebody who was standing at your local primary school, you were going to get more than ruffled hair. It was an absolute thumper. Right here on Tweed Heads, where of course Queensland is just that way. The plan was we can't even stand out on the balcony. The wind is so crazy. So does that affect who votes early, who votes late? But the obvious factor here is, like everyone else, this is, as always, an election of multiple places, states within states. I'm a person who firmly believes that the minor party vote is sticky in Queensland. I don't believe that One Nation has fallen away. I don't believe that Katters Australia have fallen away. I think one of the biggest structural things about this campaign, and in the results that will play out tonight, is a direct preference swap between Katter and One Nation. In some seats, they got 30% of the vote last time around, and at the federal election, different issues, but still, there were up to 20% in those seats, and smaller electorates, not to mention in Townsville, of course. Greg Dishhead Dowling, of course, the former rugby league player, is running for Katters Australia Party. He ran for mayor there in March of this year and got 15,000 votes. So right. Preferences are the whole game here, LJ.
Well, you talk about convention and what weather means and what early voting means and what postal votes mean, but there is no convention here, particularly in Queensland. If I know anything about Queensland at all, I know that you can have a landslide victory one election. The next, you don't even have enough MPs to fill Tarago. The federal election, that was the last election that we can go off. Forget polling, go off the last election. Labor had a 26% primary vote at the federal election, the worst result in since World War II, essentially. But, Paul, that doesn't indicate how Anastasia Palaszczuk is tracking whatsoever. She's run a really strong COVID campaign. You can say what you want about the rest of her record. There will be questions about why the LNP didn't run harder if they don't win tonight, why they didn't run harder on don't risk a Greens Labor minority, and why give her 10 years in power.
I think the storm might be somewhat of a metaphor. Eagle-eyed viewers, of course, we are 10 minutes into the coverage, 50 minutes before Queensland even closes, and you've heard the first barb of the night from Labor Senator Murray Watt to me that I got it wrong about Dishhead Dowling. He is, of course, running for the Palmer Party and not Katters, so I apologise. But points to you, Senator, for getting any hit before the polls have even closed.
Well, just quickly before we go looking at some seats, I know that...
You're always on air, mate. You're always on air. We might leave those mics up for later in the night if you've got to pretend you're not going to do deals with the Greens.
Just quickly, now what I'm hearing is the LNP is particularly concerned about Currumbin. This is a seat in which they're quite concerned about Currumbin because there's an independent there that's running strongly against the LNP. Right to die is a big issue there, but the LNP equally, Paul, are very confident about two seats in particular. They're low-hanging fruit, but they are Aspley and Mansfield.
Yeah, that's it about Currumbin, though. Southern bit of the Gold Coast, and I can tell you what, we went down like a lead balloon, the decision to keep us evil Sydney-siders out, because, of course, the Gold Coast thoroughly dependent on that tourism economy.